If you've ever been told that stress is causing your hair loss and you wonder what in the heck that is all about, this episode of The Alternative Hair Alchemist is for you. This is Deborah Heim from Very Best Little Hair House. I am certified in alternative hair and a few other things. That means I can help you with confidence and happiness. And today I wanted to talk about stress and how it does affect your hair loss. Now, I think women worry about hair loss, whether they actually have it or not. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, what can I do for stress-related hair loss? Or questions like, do you think this medication causes hair loss? Or does COVID really cause hair loss? To which I always answer, doctors will deny this or that is associated with hair loss, whether or not COVID does or whether or not. I know I've seen a lot of people coming to my shop because COVID brought attention to their hair loss. But I can tell you this for sure, that there is a relation between stress and the hair growth cycle. And I'm going to try and explain it in not too much scientific terms, although I know a lot of intelligent women love to get to the bottom of what is exactly going on. And I know there's a lot of wanting to know what diagnosis is causing this. And, it can get quite extensive. But bottom line is everybody has hair that goes through cycles. There is a growing stage and a shedding stage. And a couple of times a year, the seasons will cause seasonal hair loss. And with any of the seasonal hair loss or just hair loss in general, or even if you do have a stress-related event, the hair growth will resume. That is the good news. Now, the even better news is while you're waiting for it to regrow, there are beautiful options out there in alternative hair. And that is one of my number one ways to recommend to you to take your mind off of whether your hair is growing or not, is to get yourself something really nice in the alternative hair department. And the term for the stress-related hair loss is Telegen Effluvium. So if you've been told that, just know that that is the term for stress-related hair loss, and it should get better. But it might not seem like that if you're constantly going to the mirror and checking, or if you're looking at the hair on the drain or what have you. So in my group, which is the Wise Wig group on Facebook, I will put a link to a scientific research article that will talk about the stages of hair shedding and the percentages. Because I know myself, I do like to geek out on some figures and make sure that the statistics I'm giving are accurate. So that will be in there. But basically, each hair cycles between growth or rest. The stage of growth is anagen, and the rest is telegen. And you don't need to remember those terms. I just thought I'd throw them out there. So the way the stress hormone or any type of significant stress in your life, when the stress hormones are released, there's been an experiment to show in mice that those hormones will prevent the hair in the growing stage to go through the stage fully. So in a nutshell, it is the body's chemicals in response to stress that affect the hair growth cycle. So I know in my own personal life and working as a nurse, which can be extremely stressful, that when I took the systematic approach to my life to reduce stress on all fronts, I started to see the most amount of hair growth that you couldn't even begin to believe. It was directly related to the time that I spent away from stressful situations. I have alopecia areata, and I've had a couple diagnoses of whether it's female pattern baldness or what have you. But to me, it's all the same. My hair falls out, so basically I shave it, and I'm happy with wearing wigs. And in fact, the other day when I was seeing how fast my regrowth is coming in, I actually thought to myself, would I continue to wear alternative hair? And the answer is yes, I would, just from the convenience alone. So I offer that to you because if you are at a point where you can't see yourself ever being okay with not having all the hair on your head be perfect, I am here to offer you hope because I was there one time in my life too. But what I've found is if you can create the feeling of having great hair, which means you look good every day, you can do different stuff with your hair, and I've recreated that feeling by having a number of wigs that I love. Not just, oh, I have to wear a wig, but get you the wigs that are the hair you want. When you can create that feeling of having hair, and you take the pressure off your body to regrow the hair, it will grow back just from a law of attraction point of view, which that's a whole different subject, but I do want to offer it to you that I know for a fact that when you choose your thoughts, you can create your reality. And I do want to say before I forget that while I was going through all the stress of nursing, I also was in a series of really bad relationships. So if that is something that applies to you, if you are accepting less than being treated like the queen that you are, that's something that you should also, give attention to. So, some of the ways that you can reduce stress that are actually very simple sounding to do, but they're not so easy when you apply them, is learn to say no instead of putting other people's needs in front of your own. Like I said, easier said than done. But if you just start small, allow yourself some time for yourself, just a little bit every day. Learning to say no is one of the things, it's the biggest building block to getting a stress-free life. Learning to not feel guilty over saying no or accepting blame for things that aren't your fault. Now, the reason I know all of this is because I used to do all of this. So when you want to create your stress-free life, you got to get all the way down to the basics, the stuff that seems like, well, if I could just do that, I'd be okay. But you know what? You got to start in order for it to become a practice. And I promise you, the more you are comfortable asserting yourself, your brain will get into where it is the pattern that it doesn't make you feel so guilty. I promise you. And the thing to remember with the stress-induced hair loss, let's say you did have a major life event and that did cause hair loss. It's really, the cycle of hair growth is about 3 months. So if you are given that diagnosis and that's what you're going through, at the end of the 3 months, you really should see your regrowth. And just in general, make sure that you are taking care of you. Women are conditioned to put themselves last, especially in the hair department. For some reason, even the most successful women out there, because I know a lot of them, spending a little extra on their hair, for some reason, it's considered extra. And I say make your hair a priority. Other things in general you can do to help encourage your hair regrowth. Diet, especially high in protein, doesn't necessarily need to be meats if there's many sources of protein. Increase your water. I swear to God, that is one of the other things next to saying no, is be aware of your water intake and increase it. Keep a bottle of water in your hand. It really does nourish the cells and help the growth cycle of any cell in your body. You will want to be aware of any traction or pulling on your hair. If you're wearing a hairpiece that's with clips, if you're wearing ponytails that are really tight, just be aware that any pressure on that will tend to pull on the follicle a little bit. Couple other natural things you can do. Various people recommend various vitamins. I personally can't remember to take a vitamin in my life, but if you think they're going to help you, by all means do it, because sometimes just the symbolic act of doing something to put yourself first will get you benefits in itself. You can also do scalp massage when you're in the shower. And they recommend lukewarm water if you're having hair loss. I personally don't think it has that much of an effect. But like I said, if you think it will have an effect, by all means do whatever makes you feel the best. And one of the last natural tips I've been told is castor oil massage to your scalp is I've had friends seriously have good hair growth with it. And I'm going to tell you right now, what do you have to lose? And that's most of the things for like the natural hair regrowth. I say do them all because just the intention of doing something good for yourself is going to have its own rewards. And one of the most important things that you can become aware of and start changing is the language you use in your own head. For example, I became conditioned to say, I suffer from hair loss. And sometimes I see people talking about the devastation of hair loss. And yeah, while that's true, it is pretty crappy. And your feelings are going to be your feelings. But you do have a little bit of a choice. Reframe it. Instead of, I have to wear wigs, I get to wear a wig. And get yourself one that you feel excited about and to wear. I see or hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm going to wait to try a wig or a hairpiece until my hair comes back. To which I say, why? Number one, a wig or a hairpiece is not a permanent decision. And number two, you learn best by having that hairpiece, by having that wig in your hand at home when you can wear it and get used to it without having to go out in public or what have you. Trust me, I know I was the original nervous person about wearing wigs. So some of these things that I say, give them a try. And hopefully you can get to the point where I am now, where hair is nice, but you shouldn't need it to feel beautiful. And that is something I can help you with. If you reach out to me, I do one-on-one sessions. I will be doing some group offerings coming up soon. But I want you to feel beautiful as you are. Changing your mindset will change your life. Now, your brain is wired to keep you safe, which means any type of change is scary. But it's not going to happen until you take that first step. So hopefully I've said something this episode that helps you. Either way, take good care of yourself, book yourself a massage, do something nice for you. And until next time, peace, love, and alternative hair.